Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superman Homepage Live, brought to you by SupermanHomepage.com, the number one Superman fan site in the world. In this, our June 10th, 2024 show, we're going to be covering a range of topics, including our new layout. I'm looking at the guys left and right of me. We unfortunately don't have Josie Campbell on tonight. She is down with COVID and sends her apologies, but we will reschedule with her and attempt to get her on next Monday night. But for now, you've got us three guys, regular show. We're going to be covering a range of topics, as I said. We're going to be talking about the casting of the Daily Planet staff for the upcoming Superman movie. We're going to be talking about the latest episode of My Adventures with Superman. And we're going to be doing all our regular segments, including the fan favorite segment of our show. We're going to be doing This Week in History. And what else have we got? The Superman costume analysis. Tonight we're doing Tyler Hoechlin's Supergirl Superman costume, if you know what I mean. But joining me, as always, are my two good friends, co-hosts. Either side of me, I'm the thorn between two roses, Michael Bailey and Mark Lax. Hey, guys.
Hey, Steve.
How you doing?
Now, Steve, every rose has its thorn, so I guess that's you.
That's me. The meat in the sandwich, as so they say. I don't know.
Hey! It's not that type of site. Come on.
It's a family show. I mean,
Between a rock and a hard place. What about that one? We'll go with that one.
That'll be fine too.
all right.
I'll deal with that.
All right. So how have you guys been? Sadly, no Josie Campbell tonight, but we're professionals. We can just kind of adapt on the fly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, it's always a little disappointing, but having had that, I know that it's no picnic.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't blame her. I don't think she's ducking us.
No.
She was very pleasant the last time, so I hope she gets to feeling better then.
Yeah, indeed. And what about you, Mark? What's you're back in your regular digs, no longer in hiding?
In hiding, yeah. No, been a pretty regular week. Just getting by.
Excellent. All right, well, let's jump into tonight's topics, and we will start with the movie side of things, where we've had a couple of casting confirmations. These people have been already on board. It's not like it's their casting announcements, but they have been confirmed by James Gunn as being part of the upcoming movie. And we start with the announcement that Beck Bennett is playing Steve Lombard in the upcoming Superman movie. We did see a photo of him amongst the other cast members. Just enlarge that a little bit. And there he is on the right-hand side there, with handlebar moustache and all.
That's Bronze Age.
I'm glad he's
just
got
like Bronze Age Steve.
Yeah, I'm really glad that he has the handlebar mustache, in all honesty, because I know that wasn't something from when he was part of the books back in the 70s and 80s, but yeah, the new scumbag Steve Lombard with the mustache and all that, I always really liked it, so I'm glad they gave him that.
Yeah. So Mark, interesting that we're getting even. I mean, we don't know how much of a part he'll play in the film, but the fact that they're fleshing out the cast of the Daily Planet is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, we got a Steve Lombard of Man of Steel, but wasn't quite the same. But no, it's good to see. We look like we're getting a fairly accurate portrayal of Steve Lombard. The guy I remember certainly from the Bronze Age.
Yeah,
and we'll see how often he tries to trip Clark.
Yeah, well, so Bennett spent 8 seasons on Saturday Night Live from 2013 to 2021. Most recently appeared in Jerry Seinfeld's Unfrosted. And as we said, was spotted with the cast, amongst the cast photo that we're showing here, sporting that prominent handlebar moustache. So very interesting that we are going to, whoops, I've gone back to our regular, so there we have it. There, I turned that off. There we go. So yeah, that's interesting that we've got him included in the Daily Planet staff, and James Gunn said, "Welcome to the DCU, Steve Lombard." And then on the back of that, we got some additional casting confirmation. We had Michaela Hoover announced as playing Cat Grant. So another cast member of the Daily Planet, or crew member of the Daily Planet, confirmed. James Gunn said this is true. Welcome to the DCU, Michaela. And heard a lot of comments. Oh, I hope she, dyes her hair blonde. Well, we don't. We know she hasn't, because that's her in the photo. I think on somewhere, either there on the right, or maybe I think that might be her. But either way, we've got her playing Cat Grant. And Cat hasn't always been a blonde. Obviously in the Supergirl series, we saw that she was, but in Lois and Clark, she was definitely not a blonde. She might have had some streaks in her hair, but that's fine. The casting looks good to me. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, her not having blonde hair doesn't bug me. It's just, how are they going to play her?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that we were getting like a full Daily Planet cast. I hope that they actually kind of have something to do.
Yeah.
Instead of just being kind of there. But I don't think you would cast that many people and have that many characters unless you were going to try to do something with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, people get hung up on the weirdest things.
Sure.
They really do. I mean, it's just, remember, like back in '93, there was grumbling about the fact that Dean Cain didn't have blue eyes. And, I think at least on the TV show front, that worked out okay. So I think Cat Grant can be a brunette.
Yeah. And there you have, that was Cat Grant as seen in Lois and Clark. Had my own run-in with the actress at the Superman celebration a couple of years back, where we had an interview, and that went a little bit weird, but nevertheless, that's our new Cat Grant. And and then we've also got the announcement that a new actor, an unknown actor, Christopher McDonald, so unknown that we only have this photo of him with James Gunn and Michaela Hoover there together. He's playing Ron Troop, another member of the Daily Planet staff, who really hasn't been seen other than in animated shows, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he was referenced in the first episode of Superman and Lois, but it was... no, he wasn't. I'm sorry. I'm getting that wrong. He was in the original script, and then it was changed for airing because they realized that they had made a small mistake. So yeah, no, he's only... And really, somebody had to tell me that was Ron Troop in the animated series, because I didn't get that from any context in the episodes.
What do you think, Mike? We're getting a really, I mean, Ron Troop that's for many people, in the world of Superman fans watching movies, wouldn't even know Ron Troop unless they are really a comic book fan, or maybe a fan of one of the animated shows.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a deep cut, but obviously they're really fleshing everything out. They really want the whole bullpen there. I know bullpen, it's more Marvel, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
I mean, they really want they want the whole Planet staff, and I think that's great. You're getting everybody. I mean, again, how big a role will they have? I don't know. I hope they're just not there to be there, to say, oh, look, there's Ron Troop. Look, there's Cat Grant. I mean, I would think they would have, they'd have their own part to play. So no, I think it's great.
Now we have to be clear that Christopher McDonald playing Ron Troop is not the same Christopher McDonald that everybody is familiar with, who actually voiced... Did he voice Superman?
Yes, he voiced the Superman Beyond in Batman Beyond. He was the voice of Superman as well as Jor-El.
Yes. So not the Christopher McDonald that everyone is familiar with, who is a much older, obviously more recognizable actor, who I'll bring up his image shortly. But this is, this is a different McDonald who... There he is there. That's the McDonald that you're familiar with. That's the Christopher McDonald that had voiced Superman, as you said. Not the same guy playing Ron Troop in this upcoming film.
You picked a picture that looks exactly like the Perry White that was beside him, and the way you had that frame. That I was looking at that, I was like, did he do that on purpose?
No, it just happened that way. So yeah, different Christopher McDonald. So let's make that clear. And I did see, I think like even Screen Rant used the wrong Christopher McDonald image. Obviously, not even knowing who Ron Troop is.
Oh.
Like
when I first read it,
it's better than.
yeah,
No,
Mike.
I just want to say when I first read it, I was like, "Wait a minute, that can't be." And then I realized, okay, yes, it is another actor. I'm like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah,
I didn't. I just read when you posted.
yeah.
It could be worse though. The Hollywood Reporter referred to Steve Lombard as Steve Lombardo, which I thought was. I looked at that. I was like, well, it's only one letter, so it's not like the worst mistake. But yeah, it's just. They need to run these things by people before they press publish.
Yes, exactly. So there you have it. Fleshing out the Daily Planet staff. I love it. It's good to see that James Gunn is, that we're actually going to see, the Daily Planet and the cast members that they've chosen to play these roles, look the part. And yeah, I'll be interested to see just how much of the Daily Planet members we will see in this upcoming film. So I'm really excited for this film more and more. And we even got this week a look at what is the Lex Luthor's Luthor Corp logo for the film. This image was posted from the set that they have there on the beach. Where is it? I didn't grab it. Let me quickly bring it in here for you all to have a look at. This is the image of Luthor Corp. The logo there on the barrels is the image that has been bandied about the internet. People caught that on the set, on the location shoot taking place on, did I say where the beach was that they were doing it? This was in a public beach in Mentor in Ohio. And these barrels were photographed by people who were looking around about, seeing what was going on there for the filming of the movie, along with some other tents and kind of army-style images that were there on the beach for the upcoming film.
It's surprising that it's Luthor Corp and not LexCorp. That's a bit of a switch up.
Yeah, and not much else to really look at there. It's not very. It's very.
Yeah.
Just like a stamp,
Generic.
Generic.
Yeah, it wasn't impressive. Not that it has to be, but when I first, you figure that, Luthor Corp or LexCorp is going to be this big logo. It's like, oh, okay, just like any other corporate stamp.
Just quickly on talking about LexCorp or Luthor Corp, Michael, you mentioned last week when we were talking about My Adventures with Superman, or was it My Adventures with Superman or something else that we talked about, and you said it's not Luthor Corp or it's not Core, it's Corp. And they actually mentioned it in this latest episode of My Adventures with Superman, which we'll get to. They actually said Corp with the P. So it might have just been the voice actor at the time. So I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah. Yeah, I clocked that. I was like, okay, well, that's better.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to get hung up on.
I
will admit. I'm not gonna lie about that.
So not much to look at there, but interesting that there are. And as this JP Rocha in the comments says, there's nothing good ever to be found in steel barrels. So why you put your logo on it, we don't know, but there it is. So that's
Rudy Jones could find something in a barrel and then become the Parasite.
That's true.
That'd be nice.
Not that I think that's what's going to happen, but still.
There you go. So Mind the Gap saying, I've heard LexCorp used, so I don't think they care what Magan thinks. Maybe Elliot S. Magan warned them not to use LexCorp. LOL, said Butson Enterprises. I don't know.
That's some serious inside baseball there, Butson.
There you have it. All right. Also for this film, not that this is from that film, but Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice used these cars for the Metropolis Police. But the movie, this upcoming Superman movie, is casting for police officers. They're actually asking for current or retired police officers to act as extras for the upcoming Superman film. You need to obviously be in the Ohio area because that's where they are filming for these scenes where they need people. But interesting that they're not just asking for extras of any kind, but actually police officers who have experience being police officers to play police officers.
They probably want the accuracy of how they are going to move and stand around and stuff. So that's or maybe they're just trying to get in goodwill with the with law enforcement. That's entirely possible too.
No, I think that's great.
In case there are a few things that happen on set, it's kind of like, oh no, hey, we've got the law on our side. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, so no, that's really interesting that they're actually using real police officers or retired police officers to act as extras, and keen to see just what that would be in the movie. So much that we are getting, but so much that we don't understand what it is. So really keen to find out what they're doing with this film. And you may have seen there's been a social media movement that Michael and I and a couple of our friends that have social media accounts in the world of Superman who do podcasts, what have you, have banded together to reach James Gunn and hopefully get him to be interested in sending us to the Superman set so that we can visit and report on things for our fan communities. So yeah, we've banded together with capedwonder.com, with the Aspiring Kryptonian, Geek of Steel, what is it? Always Hold On
All-Star
to Smallville,
Superfan.
All-Star Superfan, yeah. So quite a few of them.
Digging for Kryptonite.
Exactly. So a lot of the Superman podcast and content creators that you are familiar with will be have collected together to form a group that we hope will best serve the community of Superman fans out there by hopefully getting to visit the set of the Superman movie. So when you see that on social media, be it across Twitter, Instagram, or Threads, please retweet it, like it, love it, whatever you want to do. Send it to your friends. There's a little bit of a video that went along with it, and actually I'm going to put that in here right now for you guys to have a look at. And check this out. The Superman homepage. Let me find it. Get it actually up so you can see it. Let me bring it in here. The Superman homepage.
The Fortress of Bailey tour.
Into digging for kryptonite.
Let me restart that. The Superman homepage.
The Fortress of Bailey tour.
Into digging for kryptonite.
The podcast of Steel.
All-Star Superfan Pod.
Krypton Report podcast.
Today's Caped Wonder Superman.
Always on to Smallville.
So there you have it. That's what we put together. And if you see that up on social media or anywhere, then share it, send it around, and hopefully and tag James Gunn. Hopefully he gets. I'm sure he's seen it by now. I've seen him active on his social media accounts today, so hopefully he's aware of it. And we're not trying to put ourselves on a pedestal or anything, but we feel like we're trying to do the best by our Superman fan community. And I know that there have been set visits that have already taken place by some people in the media, and we feel that as Superman fans ourselves, we're best positioned to serve the community of Superman fans who are already tuned into our podcasts, websites, social media accounts. And if James Gunn is really trying to honor the legacy of Superman, then getting Superman fans who are serving the community of Superman fans is probably a good way to go, we feel.
Yeah, no, it is totally the most respectful way of asking. There are no demands here. We're not trying to shame anybody, I guess.
No.
So one person say, "Well, this is gutsy," and I'm like, "Not really. I mean, like literally the worst that can happen is we get ignored. I mean,
Exactly.
that's
They
the
or
worst
they
case
say no.
scenario. Yeah, or they say no, and if they say no, we can at least say we tried. I mean,
Exactly.
this is literally one of those nothing ventured, nothing gained type of situations where the stakes are exceedingly low.
I mean, look, there's media and there's Superman media, and we're part of Superman media. So
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to have our say as well.
Indeed. Now, there has John Patrick Van Pelt sent this. What this movie about Marlon Brando bio played by Billy Zane. So this is in reference to this photo that was that popped up on social media by Billy Zane himself. He shared a photo of himself in the makeup chair preparing to play Marlon Brando playing Jor-El. Now, there's a photo in the photo. I don't want to zoom in too close because it's kind of gets blurry. But the fact that he's holding a mobile phone tripped up a few people because they went, that can't be Marlon Brando. Phones didn't exist when he played Jor-El. And it's not. It's Billy Zane. It's amazing. There's been some other photos. So Billy Zane is playing Marlon Brando in an upcoming biopic that's called Waltzing with Brando. It's supposedly a story of Bernard Judge, a young Los Angeles architect who found himself, quite unexpectedly, living in an unpopulated atoll in the South Pacific with Marlon Brando. And it's all about that, but obviously there'll be sequences where he talks about his filming career, including such films as The Godfather, Last Tango in Paris, and of course, Superman the movie. But Billy Zane looks uncannily like Marlon Brando.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the makeup and all that, and it's kind of ironic because for years everybody wanted Billy Zane to play Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's kind of like Ben Affleck as George Reeves getting in the Superman costume. Now we're seeing another actor who fans had wanted in a Superman film, kind of getting their wish, but it's one of those monkey paws situation where he's like, I want him in a Superman film. Yeah, he's going to play Brando. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, the wig is spot on in that shot.
Yeah. No, this is we don't know a release date. There hasn't been a release date. I think they're still fishing for people or studios to pick it up. But it's directed by Bill Fishman, starring Billy Zane. So I think they're doing some promos for it at the moment, trying to get a studio to pick it up. But I'd watch it.
Yeah,
Oh, sure.
No, looks interesting.
Marlon Brando, say whatever you want about him, was a fascinating person. So it'd be, and Billy Zane's a great actor. So it'd be, it should be really interesting.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, that's the Billy Zane playing Brando, playing Jor-El image that popped up, and we reported on it. So thank you to John Patrick Van Pelt for bringing it up. All right, well, let's get into the My Adventure of the Superman Season 2, Episode 4 review. The episode was titled Two Lanes Diverged. My review is up on the website, but this pretty much was very much centered around Lois and her father. Obviously, they're the two lanes that are mentioned in the title of the episode. Sam Lane, gets out of the apartment to go into a secret location where he's got a stash of weaponry, preparing to find out what Amanda Waller is doing and start investigating that whole route. But so the two of them go on a bit of an adventure there, Lois and Sam, father and daughter, and through that we get these flashbacks to Lois's childhood and growing up with Sam Lane as a father and what that was all like. I'll start with you, Michael. What did you think of this episode?
So the scenes between Lois and her dad I really liked. I enjoyed those. I think they captured what is a really complicated relationship. Very emotional, very upsetting. Sam, you should never ever trust anybody named Winslow Shot. That's always going to go bad for you. Um, I'm going to be kind of honest, and I've been very positive about this show. I'm a little disappointed that they pulled the trigger on the Superman's a menace trope. I'm just, and that comes from just being tired of that. I mean, that was the entirety of Batman v Superman, and not really in Superman and Lois, but we were dealing, especially in the first season, with the idea that there was this alternate reality where Superman was evil, and I get that they're setting up something and that they're exploring an idea, which it's valid. It's just, for me personally, I'm like, I just didn't want to see that. It's just it's a total Spider-Man move to have like all this destruction and then everyone shows up. It's like, look what Superman did, and he was fighting some supervillains, and it's just, I get that it's all manipulation, but the whole thing of Jimmy, him saying Jimmy because Lex thanks Jimmy, so now there's like division within the friends, and there's tension between Superman and Lois, and I'm just like, they're laying it on pretty thick. It was enjoyable. It wasn't bad. It's just, I'm tired of is Superman a threat, and are we going to look at him like that? I'm done with it. I really am.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree there. John Patrick Van Pelt sent us a super chat, and which reminds me, we should thank our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray, for their support of the show. But thank you to John for that super chat, which folks who are on YouTube, all have to do is click the dollar symbol there. A slider will appear on your screen, and you decide on the dollar amount you're willing to donate, and it will feature your comment or question on the screen, as John has just done there, saying, the only thing I didn't understand was where was her sister Lucy Lane. So in this version of the story, it doesn't appear as there is a Lucy Lane. It looks like Lois is an only child, and so no Lucy Lane in this version that we know of from what we look at in that in those flashback sequences. So John, I hope that answers your question. But Mark, we also in this episode saw that whole Jimmy speaking at Star Labs Symposium as a guest speaker, thinking he's there as an expert on aliens and an expert on Superman, but he kind of is trapped into the Superman problem debate between him and, now he knows him as Lex Luthor, or originally Alex. And Jimmy does his best to kind of argue the point, but as Michael says, we get that whole Superman is a threat, Superman is bad, which is, you can understand, that is a Lex Luthor thing. It's always been him thinking that Superman, that should be Earthlings, that, Superman is taking away, our ability to help ourselves, and he's bringing threats to the city because there are those, all those chaotic villains that are out there are hunting Superman, or because of Superman, and so Lex sees him as a threat. I agree with you, Michael. It's played out, especially in Batman v Superman. We saw that pretty severely, but here we've got our own version in My Adventures with Superman, and Jimmy realizing that Alex is now this big shot Lex Luthor, who Jimmy is responsible for creating in many ways.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. The whole that whole ending though was very soap opera with, Clark flying away because he heard Jimmy, that Lex thanked Jimmy, and then he went to Lois's window and he heard her say, yeah, he is different. And then he flies away, and then of course she says, but that's what I love about it, Mm-hmm. There was a lot of that, but I have to echo the whole distrust of Superman. I mean, I get it. In this day and age, we're thinking a little more literal about certain things. And, oh, there's an alien, and wouldn't we be suspicious? And wouldn't we? This is Superman. I mean, we don't need all of that. I mean, I know they've dealt with it in more recent comics. They dealt with it in Batman v Superman. We don't need to deal with it here. I mean, they can do whatever they want with Lex. We don't need him to be there, to sow distrust, because it's like that's what he does, and hopefully there'll be more to him than that. But right now, that's what he is. Plus, didn't the people see him trying to save Lois and Sam and fight the bad guys? Didn't they see him doing that? I mean,
I don't think they did, because they were all within the auditorium while this was happening outside in the, the foyer, if you like, in the display area of the symposium. So they were all inside in this big auditorium and not seeing it. All they do is they come out and they see the destruction, and the bad guys had left by that stage. But yeah, I agree with you. It's a little bit heavy-handed. And John Patrick Van Pelt again asks us, what was the point of Lois wanting her father to stay? Well, I guess that's because, as we see in all the flashbacks, that she is tired of him always being out of the picture and running away, and her life being upside down because of all the moves they had to make. So for her, she just wants him to stay around and not run away and go incognito or go undercover or whatever he has to do for the his job. So she just wants him to be around and be her father. So that's why she's desperate for him to stay around. But it kind of was a little bit ham-fisted as far as making Superman feel isolated and alone. Jimmy and then Lois's comment, and he moves away before he hears her say, but that's what I love about him. As he said, for a guy who has super hearing, he sure has a problem listening to things. But I guess that's the whole point of them making him feel alone, and that's why he has to press the beacon and send the message out there for Kara to search for his cousin. And that sets us up for next week's episode, which we'll get to in a second. But I don't know if the whole of Metropolis is necessarily buying into the whole Superman is bad, Superman is evil. It's mainly those tech people who are at this convention who heard this whole thing, because as we've seen, the public really, love Superman at this point in time. And that whole Super Hearing episode where he went around saving people left, right, and center, and Jimmy's Flamebird went through the roof went viral because of all the people posting about how great Superman was. And that pretty much set Jimmy up for life, but he's still spending pretty thick and fast his earnings there. But it's not. We've got to remember the audience of this animated series is a lot younger than us guys who probably haven't seen the whole Superman is dangerous thing. So I can kind of forgive them for doing that here, because they're picking and choosing what they like to pick out of the Superman history to tell here. And we got some more name drops. We had Professor Hamilton, or they mentioned Hamilton. We got Atomic Skull. We know that. Agent Wilson was back. Who else did we get? We had Hank Henshaw was there again, and seems to be joining Lex Luthor and Amanda Waller. We've got Winslow Schott in this episode, a.k.a., as we know him, Toyman, General Wade Eiling, Senator Sackett. All these names, deep cuts for Superman fans who know their history.
Yep, absolutely.
So, what would you give this episode out of 5? See, I gave this a 5 out of 5 for me. I liked the way it escalated and that they brought Lex into it earlier than I thought they would. I didn't think that they would reveal the whole Lex Luthor thing until a lot later. But, and then we also had that finale image of this image, which is this threat that's looming outside of or in orbit around Earth. Is this the same alien that we saw invading Krypton, that we saw, as a flashback from Jor-El as to what happened to Krypton and its demise?
I'd have to go back and look at that. I assumed it was Brainiac.
Now, Brainiac has that
Zod.
skinnier, maybe Zod, because Brainiac had that more skinnier type of look. I've got some images here. Let me have a look. So I had these set up for our interview with Josie. That didn't happen, but let's look there. Brainiac. Here is Brainiac from what I remember. Different type of head there, but
Yeah.
But there we go. All these images popping up all over the place. Yeah, I gave this 5 out of 5. Michael, I'm guessing you're a lot lower than that.
4 out of 5. Mainly because I don't want to knock it down too much, because I did enjoy most of it. But it's just that one part just. I didn't like roll my eyes. I'm not like an old man yelling at clouds. Talking about when I wore an onion on my belt, which, by the way, was a style at the time.
On the next all-new episode of My Adventures with Superman.
Sorry, guys.
The voice from nowhere. No, but I'll give it a solid 4 out of 5.
I'll give it a 4 too. I'll give it a 4.
Excellent.
I mean, again, I enjoyed it too, but I take a point away from because of the whole Superman Menace thing.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, here is the promo for next week's episode. Some interesting visuals here. Let me see if I can get it to play without...
On the next all-new episode of My Adventures with Superman.
Learning this whole new layout thing that we've got going on here.
On the next all-new episode of My Adventures with Superman.
Watch where you're going!
Are you... all right. You okay?
I'm fine. But who are you?
The name's Jimmy Olsen, a leader at the planet and head of the Flamebird division.
You're the leader of the planet? My name's Kara, and I'm searching for someone.
My Adventures with Superman. New episode next Saturday at midnight on Toonami. Next day on Max.
Leader of the planet.
Is that a Zod symbol on her chest?
Looked like it.
Yeah.
And I saw a lot of Dragon Ball Z fans commenting on her attire, being very much. I don't even know the character's name. I've got to find my notes for
Android 18.
Android 18. That's it. Yes. And you look it up, the character, she's wearing... No, neither do I. I had to look it up, and she's wearing the exact same outfit. So fans picked up on that. Even Mind the Gap says Kara's outfit is Android 18's from Dragon Ball Z. So there you have it. I didn't know what to expect from this. Kara is already there. She speaks English. She's wearing Earth clothing. She seems to have been around already, but I'm confused.
Well, it was just the preview.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm assuming that she got the message and now she's looking for her cousin.
Yeah, but I mean, how does she speak? I guess everybody speaks English. We've seen. It doesn't matter who they are. I mean, except for Jor-El. Jor-El didn't speak English.
Yep.
He had to learn, but I don't know how Kara's speaking and how she's here so quickly, and I'm really looking forward to seeing her figuring it all out. And Jimmy's obviously already smitten. When is he going to work out? How's he going to feel when he works out? 1, she's an alien, and 2, she's Clark's cousin. That's going to be a little bit awkward. So, interesting.
Especially if she moves in with that, man. See how that goes.
Yeah, so I'm interested to see how this one plays out. Confused but interested. So looking forward to that. Lois and Clark's relationship is pushed to the breaking point when Superman is named Metropolis's most eligible bachelor. So there you go. There's the whole he's evil part. Now he's his most eligible bachelor. Jimmy gives a mysterious girl a tour of the city, a girl who is on a mission to find her long-lost cousin. We all know who that is. So there you go. That's an upcoming episode. This one is titled Most Eligible Superman. And as the promo said, it is airing on Saturday night or Sunday morning, depending on how you look at it, 12 a.m. Most Eligible Superman. And there you have it. All right. We are over the halfway mark. I'm going to play a quick couple of messages. Then we're going to come back on the flip side and do fan favorite question, our Superman costume analysis, and if we have time, this week in history. Don't go anywhere, folks. So much more to get through.
We'll be back in a moment with the exciting climax of today's episode. So stand by.
If you're enjoying Superman Homepage Live, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. Also, if you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then you can click on the bell to receive notifications whenever we post a new video. You can also join our YouTube membership program, just click the join button below. Or you can become a patron and support our website by going to patreon.com/Superman Homepage.
Look, up in the sky.
It's a bird.
It's a plane. No, it's SupermanHomepage.com, the #1 Superman fan site in the world. SupermanHomepage.com, covering the world of Superman from the 1930s to today. News, reviews, rumors, and reports. SupermanHomepage.com for all your Superman comics, TV shows, movies, cartoons, radio shows, and more. Everything you ever wanted to know about the Man of Steel and more. SupermanHomepage.com.
Thanks, Superman Homepage, for all the support over the years. I really appreciate it.
I'm Matt Balmer, the voice of Superman and Superman Unbound, and this is the Superman Homepage.
Right here on Superman Homepage.
I had a dream had I. I dreamt I was a Superman French fry. And in this dream, I dreamt that I was high in the sky. I cooked up crispy golden brown. I was delicious all around. I was as tasty as can be, brown and crispy, that was me. Everywhere it was the same, 'cause Superman French fry was my name. And dreams was in, but if I had my way, a Superman French fry I would stay.
On the next all-new episode of My Adventures with Superman.
Superman French fry.
That is such a bizarre ad. It's like you got to think that an advertising agency was paid to develop that ad. Somebody was paid to animate it. Somebody was paid to write that jingle, and then somebody was paid to sing the jingle.
Mm-hmm.
It's entirely possible. Maybe that's the same person, but it's just like, were they not allowed to use any other iconography of Superman but that bag? I mean, it's just, God, it was weird.
Weird indeed. All right, well, let's get into the fan favorite segment of our show. There we go.
There we are.
All right, so let's get into the fan favorite question. Michael, what was our fan favorite question from last week?
What is your favorite Perry White comic book covering? Kenny Crowley Jr. wrote, hey guys, here are some of my favorite Perry White covers. There was a lot to choose from, but here are some of the ones that I liked. Thanks, Steve, Michael, and Mark, for all you do at the website and for Superman Homepage Live. Yeah, I love that one too. That is such a great cover.
So some interesting Perry White covers. He sent quite a few. So thank you to Kenny for sending in quite a large collection of Perry White covers, and appreciate those. Thank you, Kenny. Mark, who's next?
David Rustage wrote, my two favorite Perry White covers are from Action Comics number 280 and World's Finest Mini number 3 back cover. They both show that the pen is mightier than the sword. In this week's show, Michael expressed a desire for DC to publish a 1960 Superman annual as a facsimile copy. That would be nice, but even better would be all the Superman annuals from the 1960s reprinted in one book form like they did for the Batman ones. I go for that.
That would be interesting.
Yep.
Thank you, David. All right, next up we had Elliot Quadrado, who said, I have two favorite Perry White covers. The first one is Action Comics 436. You can't beat Perry flying off to save a falling plane in the distance and getting his powers from cigars given to him by aliens. Those two things are what the Silver Age was all about. So there you have it. This one is coming up quite a few times. Thank you, Elliot.
Yes, the super cigars, which would never happen today.
Now, yeah.
I loved it, though. I loved it.
Michael, we've got one more.
John Patrick Van Pelt sent these with no comment. I think he tried to email us, but it didn't come through. But at least we got the covers themselves.
Yeah. So thank you, John Patrick Van Pelt, for these. And there it is again, that Perry White one by Matt Fraction and Steve Lieber. So thank you to everyone for sending in their fan favorite images of Perry White comic book covers. Our new question for this week's fan favorite question is, what is your favorite Clark Kent comic book cover? Now, this one should be a lot easier to find, but yeah, specifically Clark Kent. Try not to go with shirt rip ones because they're a dime a dozen. Let's go with something that's just Clark Kent.
How dare you, sir?
Come on, Michael. Come on, I know it's one of your favorite images of all time.
But
no.
But not just like the ones. I just want to say, like the ones we just saw where, he's faked out. It's like, look, Clark Kent is Superman. And then, of course, there's an explanation. That kind of thing is good.
Yeah, that's true. Cool. All right, that's the fan favorite question for this week. Let's get into our costume analysis of the Tyler Hoechlin Superman costume from Supergirl. Okay, so we're making a distinction here. Not the Superman costume from Superman and Lois, which there have been a few, but let us get into the Supergirl costume. Now, this was the first image we saw. This was not a very good first image. He looks like a mannequin there, but it was not a good look. But there was a lot to say about this costume, so let's jump through and start, as we'd like to do, with the cape. Now, there's been a lot said about this costume, but nothing more than the way that the cape connected to the costume. It doesn't tuck under the collar. It doesn't attach to the shoulders. It has what we called belt buckles that looked very strange, and I'm glad that they removed these once it went to his own TV series, but this was the worst thing about this costume, and I won't have any arguments.
Well, you're going to have an argument because I have absolutely no problem with them. I will say they're not the most attractive way of attaching the cape to the costume. And it is weird because they're gold or like a yellow color. So that does make them stand out more. Maybe if it had been like a red, like a solid red, people would have probably had a more favorable opinion of them. And I'm going to admit that a lot of me defending this costume comes from the fact that this version of Superman was such a breath of fresh air for me as a fan when it first hit.
Oh yeah.
Is that I looked at that, I went, you know what? I'm not even going to complain about that because they look better than that shoulder pad one that Dean Cain had early on in Lois and Clark. But yeah, I'll push back a little, but not too much because I don't want to get fired. You don't disagree with the boss too much.
Mark.
Well, the funny thing about this was, there was a lot of backlash from fans when it came out because I too do not really care for it. But they would use it on Mon-El, and then they used it again, I think, on one of Supergirl's costumes too. The belt buckle. So I don't know what it was about the show that loved that look, but it's not the worst thing I've seen. It's just just the over the shoulder buckles. It just doesn't look right. It really doesn't. It doesn't seem to suit. It just doesn't suit the character.
Then they also tried to have the outer layer of the costume have like of the cape have more of a leather look, where the inside was more fabric, which was very Superman Returns inspired. The color is a lot more red, which is great, and I love the fact that they use a redder. And I like the length. The length is long. It goes down to the back of the heel. Doesn't touch the ground like the Man of Steel one did. Again, no S on the back of the cape. But yeah, the leather straps coming over the shoulders kind of connected into the top of the cape, and it had a bit of like a line there throughout the cape. But other than that, other than the way the clasps over the shoulder thing, I didn't mind the cape whatsoever. Other than that,
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I have be honest. I like the cape other than the buckles.
Now we look at the body of the costume, and again they've gone with this embossed type of fabric that has, you know, almost like a mesh feel to it, and they have some lines there that kind of highlight the costume and have these angular seams that go down to create more than just a blue tunic. Which I don't mind. The color was okay here. It's a little bit darker. It's not that pale blue, but again, this shot is, you know, a little bit in the shadows. But yeah, I didn't mind the body of the costume whatsoever here. What did you guys think, Michael?
The body of the costume I had no problem with. I've gotten used to the lines. You know, the new 50. You know, you had to put up with that for like 5 solid years. So you either get used to it or you go crazy. And with me, I was just like, you know what? It doesn't look bad. I like the blue. It's good dark blue, and like you said, it doesn't clash with the red of the cape or the boots like some other Superman costumes have. So yeah, no problem with the suit itself at all.
Now, Mark, the S is very similar. Is great. It's good size. I like the way it sits. But again, we've got these little gold attachments that kind of have the clasps as if it's attached somehow as well. I don't know what they were for, but other than that, I like the S. I thought that was a nice feature of the costume.
Yeah, the S to me is just the right size. It's not, you know, it doesn't have that shoulder to shoulder. I think that was the Dean Cain look, wasn't it? That was kind of shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's not that small like Superman Return. It's just the right size. Yes, those little clasps around there. I don't get that either. But no, I think it's the right size. And even though, you know, it's muted a little bit, which is fine. It doesn't have to be bright yellow and red. No, I think the S is great. I had no problem with it at all.
Michael?
No, I love the S right from the beginning. I thought even with those little gold clasps, which aren't as apparent in certain shots. It's like this picture in particular seems to really accentuate them. But I thought, again, after so many years of, you know, you have Superman Returns, like we said, which was different and smaller. We had the ones for Man of Steel, which I liked, but those weren't quote unquote traditional. This is like the more traditional S symbol. Yeah. And I appreciated that they brought that out for this costume.
Then there were no trunks again, so they've gone with the Man of Steel look as far as no trunks are concerned, but they went with a belt. And here they've got a red belt with some yellow highlights in the background. It's almost like the red is sitting on top of a yellow or gold type band, but it does break up the costume, so it does have that. It's not a round or oval or even square belt buckle. It's kind of got a shield type of appearance to it, and there are different layers of the red. So this was a different belt than we've seen in any other live-action version.
Yeah, but it did serve that function of breaking up the costume.
Yes.
So, and very much of a new 52 idea as well that they've carried into the other costumes that Tyler has worn. So it's just like one of those things where I looked at it, I was like, it's not like I'm like jumping up and down saying, ooh, I love that. But on the other hand, I can't say I dislike it either. I just appreciate that they did something to kind of make it not look like a giant onesie.
Right. It just, you know, the color and all that, it breaks it up. You know, you don't have the red trunks, but, you know, that red belt, it breaks up the costume enough where it's, you know, like Mike said, it doesn't look like a onesie. It's, you know, it's a costume. It's, you know, it looks like it's almost, I don't want to say it looks like it's almost separate, but it kind of gives a little bit of that feel that the trunks gave. Just the way, just the shape of it, the color of it. I mean, I like there's a shield. I'm glad there's no S on it. But I like, I like the shield on it. I think it looks good.
And then we go down to the boots, which I didn't really like. These look very chunky and very, very New 52. We don't have the V dip on the shin at the front. We have a more of a raised thing. They're very alien in some ways. Like it looks like almost like a mechanical boot, like some kind of, something like Iron Man, except that the fact that they are leather. But yeah, they are very chunky.
Yeah, but again, it's not something that I notice unless we're like seeing a still picture. Like in motion, they you don't really think about them. They just look like red boots. But we are sitting here analyzing it, so you gotta do that. You gotta pick the nits, so to speak. It looks like one of those boots, like it's two pieces of material stuck together. Especially on that left boot there, it looks like there's a shoe, and then they put the shin part of it on there. Yeah. They kind of look like soccer, like he's got like cleats or shin guards,
shin pads. Yeah,
yeah. But again, not the worst. It just doesn't look the best.
I mean, I think there's a little too much heel. In general, I mean, I agree, especially with Mike says it looks like there's shin guard. And then, it breaks it up, and then you have, like, the shoe. But in general, I mean, it's certainly not the worst we've seen. And again, in motion, I mean, watching it on the show, I never really noticed it. Here we are again, analyzing it, looking right at it, so we have things to say about it. But in general, I never really had a problem with them at all.
Yeah, and then we go to Tyler himself. Now, there's been a lot of people talking about the 5 o'clock shadow that he has in Superman and Lois, and that seems to be a sticking point for a lot of people. But in the Supergirl TV series, they really made a big effort to make him clean shaven, and I like the hair, I like the jawline. He has that Superman look about him, and I thought he was a great choice. And yeah, as he's matured, in the Superman and Lois TV series, where he's a father of teenagers, he has that more weathered look about him. But I was pleased with the casting choice when they announced him back when he first appeared on Supergirl.
Yeah, I'm glad that they went away from like the bouffant hairdo that was going on in that first image.
Yeah.
Somebody, and I forget who, and I feel bad about this. Somebody, when the set photos started showing up, said that he looks like a Dan Jurgens drawing brought to life. Mm-hmm. And I think there's something to that. He looks like he has that Superman look to him. So it's one of the reasons why I think it's worked so well is that, he does. Sometimes on the CW, they go away from the traditional look of the character. I mean, Barry Allen wasn't a blonde. We talked about that earlier in this hour, actually. But with this, I think they nailed it right on the first time.
Yeah, I mean, he looks... To say he has a Dan Jurgens, looks like a Dan Jurgens drawing. I mean, he looks, he's got, look, Christopher Reeve, even at all of them. I mean, you look at Christopher Reeve and Dean Cain and Brendan Routh and Henry Cavill. I mean, they all really have that look, that chin, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And Tyler does too. But Tyler, he has a bit more of the comic book look to him for some reason. That's just the impression that I get when I when I look at him, when I see his face.
Yep.
He has a little bit more of that comic book look.
All right, so we're running out of time. So in a word or in a number, 80 out of 10, how would you? I would give this a 6.
Ooh. Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
I was gonna go with 8. So I'm going with 8.
There you go.
Wow.
Well, that brings
Mark's
us.
the
you're the
I'm the big one
today.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of the Superman costume analysis for this week. We will do Tyler Hoechlin's other Superman costumes in collective for the Superman and Lois TV series. It's only fair that we do that. But that also brings us to the end of tonight's show. So we don't have any time for This Week in History. Sorry, Michael. I know you collected all that data for us, but we will hopefully next week have Josie Campbell for the Superman, My Adventures with Superman animated series chat with her. Hopefully she feels better and is able to be on. We will let you know. But that brings us to the end of tonight's episode. I want to thank our sponsors and patrons, Douglas Meacham, John Patrick Van Pelt, and Tina Murray. I want to thank everyone who was with us for the past hour watching live. Thank you to you guys. We appreciate your company. And thank you to my two co-hosts, Michael Bailey and Mark Lax. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Steve.
You're very welcome, Steve. Pleasure as always.
We'll be back next week on Monday, June 17th at 7:30 p.m. Pacific time for another episode of Superman Homepage Live. Hope you'll join us then. Until then, be sure to check out supermanhomepage.com for all your daily news updates on everything surrounding the Man of Steel. I'm Steve Eunice on behalf of myself and Michael Bailey and Mark Lax. Thanks for watching Superman Homepage Live. Bye.